Trump doubling down on his claims of foreign interference in the 2020 election. During his primetime address to the nation, the president repeatedly accusing China of trying to influence the outcome, claims that contradict repeated investigations by various state and federal agencies, finding no major fraud. The White House later releasing declassified documents they say back up the president's claims. But one administration staffer admitting after the speech, U.S. intelligence has found, quote, zero evidence any foreign actor was able to flip a vote in the last 3 general elections. To be clear, voter fraud has happened, but instances are exceptionally rare. In the 2024 election alone, such cases amounted to a fraction of 1% of the total votes. A correspondent Tom Dempsey is live there at the White House. So, Tom, what else is in the documents?
Hey, Nicole. Yeah, on the heels of that big primetime speech from President Donald Trump here at the White House, where he spoke of allegations of vulnerabilities with the U.S. election system, just in the last hour, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin held this press conference where he said the department has identified around 250,000 non-citizens registered to vote in federal elections in just 4 different states, those states being New Jersey, Pennsylvania, California, and Nevada. Now, very important to note, he didn't share how the department exactly was able to gather those numbers, but during that speech, he echoed the president saying much more must be done to secure U.S. elections.
If these states want a grant and they want to be reimbursed to work or to run federal elections, they're going to have to implement security issues. We're saying that the machines had to be secured and that your voter registration list needs to be scrubbed. We need to make sure that individuals that are legally able to vote are voting.
During that press conference, Secretary Mullin also said the department found around 400 deceased people still registered to vote as well. You heard some of it right there, but he said states should partner with the department to make security enhancements to voting systems, even saying grant money could be impacted if no measures get taken. But moving forward, Mullin's saying a DHS plans to set up a special group to go through voting rolls, identifying any illegal voting or non-citizens registered to vote. Now, it's important context here, Nicole, that President Donald Trump has put a really big push out there to get lawmakers to pass the Save America Act, which would require proof of citizenship when registering to vote. This press conference today and that speech last night could be part of that push. But Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who's a Republican, has said there might not be enough votes to get that over the finish line. And some opponents have raised concerns about that, saying it could put more barriers in place for people voting. Nicole?
And Tom, you have some new insight on the documents released by the White House after the president's speech last night.
Yeah, we're talking about newly declassified documents that literally our viewers at home could go online to see at whitehouse.gov. They involve a CIA, a wire, and a note, as well as investigative reports that President Trump believes show the U.S. election system to be broken and vulnerable. In one CIA wire from July 2020, the agency writes China is probing the presidential campaign for opportunities to tailor collection and gather insight on policy positions on U.S.-Chinese issues. A National Intelligence Council assessment from August 2020, recently declassified, goes into foreign threats to the 2020 presidential election, bringing up China, saying, quote, we assess that China prefers that the president whom Beijing sees as unpredictable and tough on China does not win re-election. But also important to note here, during the speech last night, President Trump did not mention Russia. And in that same report that we just said, it reads, quote, we assess that Russia is using a range of measures primarily to denigrate former Vice President Biden and what it sees as an anti-Russia establishment. Some Kremlin-linked actors are also seeking to boost President Trump's candidacy on social media. President Trump, though, now says he wants the Department of Justice, the CIA, and FBI to look into this claim of a massive voter data breach by China impacting over 200 million Americans, all with the intention of earning confidence and fixing vulnerabilities. That's according to the president. He also claimed, like we said, about the DHS finding non-citizens registered to vote. But earlier today, right here on NewsNation, former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer raised issues with this big announcement from the president. So again, this could be part of this push to get the Save America Act over the finish line. But again, Senate Majority Leader John Thune has come out saying that even Republicans, there might not be enough Republican support to get that over the finish line, Nicole.
All right, Tom Dempsey live there at the White House. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.